Hari Om, Namaste. In our continuation series of celebrating the Ramayana in this 108 days webinar, today my topic is on Kausalya. Kausalya means we are talking about the mothers of the hero of our epic Ramayana. She is the mother of Lord Sri Ram. Before we go in depth, in detail in understanding her life, her position, her state of mind, let us try to look the comparisons between these two epics and the mothers of those respective epics hero, that is Pandavas as well as the Ram. So when we speak of Mahabharata, the hero over there are the Pandavas and the mother is Kunti. And in Ramayana, it is Sri Rama and his mother is the Kausalya. In Mahabharata, Kunti being the mother of Pandava, the warrior heroes, and Kausalya, the mother of Rama, the hero of the Ramayana, their characters are marked with great virtues. They are an exemplary motherhood and they act as the central attribute for the character of motherhood in these two epics. The similarity that we find between Kunti and Kausalya is that they are part of this male dominant polygamy system. And another similarity is that they are also the principal wives of the ruling king, both of them who have the privileges when compared to their co-wives. However, in Mahabharata, if you look at Madri and in Ramayana, Kaikeyi, they are the most favorite ones to their husband. And again, if we try to look at the other differentiation, Kausalya expresses a submissive behavior. She is a representation of a submissive behavior, while Kunti is a very dominant, a strong character. This can be understood when Kunti shows her dominating character when she denies sharing the mantra more than once for her co-wife, that is the Madri, to avoid that future power struggle. In spite of that difference, in spite of her difference between Madri, she does not carry forward that indifference towards the children. Like a true mother, single-handed mother, she raises the children of the co-wife as her own. And Kausalya's ability to pour an unwithering love on all the four princes of Ayodhya, both these two ladies in this relation, they set them above the ordinary womanhood. They have magnificently shaped the characters of their son, both Kunti as well as Kausalya, though they had the most challenging times of their life, though the children had to go the hardships of the life, they still made sure that their characters were the at most refined, pure characters. Their upbringing of single-handedly, especially in relation to single-handed or single mother, Kunti plays a very vital role. However, upbringing the son single-handedly accredits heroism to Kunti's motherhood. And this distinguishes a character of Kunti from that of Kausalya. Both Kunti and Kausalya, they encouraged their sons to follow the path of Dharma, even though it was tough. They did not look into the means of finding some luxury or comforts, but still taught the children the importance, the significance of morally, ethically leading the life. And these women stand out for their patience, their forbearance, while facing the ups, twists, turns of life, even in their lives of son. And they are the representation, they are the epitome of that affectionate but yet a very assertive motherhood. According to Valmiki Ramayana's Ayodhya Kanda in the chapter 34, verses from 10 to 13, King Dasharatha had total 353 wives, which includes these three principal wives also. But the difference is, compared to those 350, these three principal wives were considered as favored throne queens. And among that, Kausalya was the chief and the eldest queen. Sumitra and Kaikeyi, the other co-wives, were also seen as favored queen consorts. Now, if you look at their background, Kausalya comes from the kingdom of Dakshina Kosala, and Sumitra from the Kashi, Kaikeyi from the Kekeya kingdom. Kausalya, being the wife of King Dasharatha, is also the mother of Lord Sri Rama, and she is the eldest queen of Ayodhya. Rama is not the only child for Kausalya. He is the second child of Kausalya. The eldest child is the daughter, and her name is Shanta, and her name is mentioned in Valmiki Ramayana, especially in the Balkand section. The kings earlier were allowed to have three wives, and each wife could be from the three different classes. And Dasharatha's all three wives belong to the Kshatriya clan. There is also a reference about this Dasharatha having 350 wives altogether. Looking at that factor, G.S. Altekar brings out a significant point that polygamy can lead to different kinds of conflicts in the family. The internal family pressures, chaos, disturbances, disharmony can be one of the reasons from the polygamy marriage institution. It is clear even in Ramayana that Kausalya and Kaikeyi felt insecure. Because they were wary of each other because of this reason. Though Dasharatha had many wives, there was a possibility of a rift amongst his first three queens only. The practice of polygamy among the royal clan, according to Altekar, might be due to the necessity of the royal families to establish more friendly relations. But these friendly relationships were outside. Within the family circle, within the closest units of the family, this kind of extended relations or having too many co-wives definitely disturbed the atmosphere and created disharmony among the families. So the royal household was prone for this. So it definitely created a very disharmonious structure within the royal household because of the polygamy system. The analysis of when we look deeper into the relationship between Kausalya and the other co-wives in special consideration to Kaikeyi, it can be understood the ill effects of a polygamy system. Dasharatha and Kausalya, we had already mentioned that they had a daughter. This daughter name is Shanta, and she was given to marriage to sage Rishyashringa. Sage Rishyashringa is an exponent in Atharva Veda. Dasharatha did not have a male progeny. He longed for having a male child. So in that regard, the sage Vasishtha advised Dasharatha to perform the Putra Kameshti Yagna. To perform Putra Kameshti Yagna, the most exponent of Atharva Veda, sage Rishyashringa, he was also the son-in-law of King Dasharatha. So King Dasharatha took the help of his own son-in-law and performed this Putra Kameshti Yagna on the banks of the Manorama river. As the Yagna rites were about to conclude, from the Yagna Kunda, that is the sacrifice fire pit, Agni sprang out and handed Dasharatha a pot of kheer. Kheer is the parson. He advised it to distribute among his queens. Kausalya ate half the kheer, Sumitra ate a quarter of kheer, and Kaikeyi ate some and passed the pot back to the Sumitra. So Kausalya received another half from Sumitra. So in this way, Sumitra, as the queen of Dasharatha, got the chance of eating the parson twice as compared to the other wives. So now the result of eating the parson. Since the largest portion of the parson was consumed by Kausalya, the principal queen, she got the son Sri Rama, and Kaikeyi got Bharata. Sumitra had eaten twice, so twins were born to her. The portion of the kheer that was taken from the Kausalya, Lakshmana was born out of it, and the portion that she took from Kaikeyi and consumed it, Shatrughna was born out of it. And if you look at the bonding as well, Lakshmana is very close to Rama, and Shatrughna is very close to Bharata. So this is about the way the four siblings of the royal clan came out. To understand the significance of Kausalya as a character in Ramayana, Sita in some time in a conversation to her expresses when she is sad, she says, your presence is important, your existence has a definite purpose. If you are not there, how will Rama be there? And if Rama is not there, why will I come into his life? Why will I become his wife? So, in different many ways, Sita tries to bring confidence and a pacification to Kausalya, expressing her life, her existence as important as the other people around. So that shows us her presence being very important because she is the mother of this Ramayana, hero, that is Sri Rama. There are different tellings and retellings of Ramayana. If you look at different kinds of Ramayana, like the Moola Ramayana of Narada, the oldest version of Ramayana, and the Adhyatma Ramayana, which is attributed to sage Vyasa, Ananda Ramayana, the Chitra Ramayana, Adbhuta Ramayana, and the Puranic Encyclopedia, all these give actually different versions on who was responsible for the destruction of Ravana from Rama's hands, who became the reason for it. So, to understand that when we dig into the deep histories of this whole Ramayana thing, it is proposed in Kausalya Rama that Sita was only instrumental for killing Ravana. But the real reason is for Rama killing Ravana is his own mother, that is Kausalya. And there are interesting stories related to it. One such story is that Kausalya is seen as the princess of mother. She is the daughter of King Sukhaushal and Queen Amritaprabha. In the Satyayug, she was the wife of this Brahmin Dronavasi. They both were bestowed with a boon by the Bhagavan Vishnu that he would be born as their son in the Treta Yuga. They both reincarnate as Maharaj Dashrath and Kausalya, and the Almighty has their son Sri Ram. As this was predestined that their son would kill Ravana, now Ravana is worried, so he captures. If only the marriage can take place, Rama could come well. So it's better I capture Kausalya. So he captures the Kausalya and puts her into the wooden box and throws her into the sea. But she, however, gets rescued by the man she was about to marry, King Dasharatha himself, and they both eventually get married. This is one version of talking about Kausalya. Another version is Ravana at some time disguises himself as a swan and he happens to meet Kausalya. And Kausalya does not know it is Ravana. She keeps telling the swan that the reason for her existence, the reason for her life. So she says that why she was born to that swan. She says that she will marry King Dasharatha and their son will be born to them and this son will be named as Rama who will be killed as Ravana. Now hearing that story, Swan is not that Swan, it is the Ravana in disguise. So Ravana kidnaps her and keeps her under the sea. While Dasharatha is on his way to marry her, Ravana creates an artificial cyclone to disrupt this travel. Thrown away by the winds and cyclone, Dasharatha swims down to the sea and meets Kausalya and gets married underwater. With the help of Jatayu, he comes out. This is one version. There is another version where Rama is realized what his next action has to be taken place when he meets and liberates Ahalya from her curse. Ahalya is the first of the Panchakanya, whose very mention of all the sins would vanish. She is also called as Ayodhya. That means not born out of human womb. She is also known for bringing Vali and Sugriva, who are the sons of Indra and Surya by Aruni. Ahalya's son Shatananda is the family priest and preceptor of King Janaka of Mithila. She narrates the Kausalya story to Rama. It was she who showed Rama the path to marry Sita and take revenge of Kausalya against Ravana. Her daughter Anjana was the mother of Anjaneya, who becomes the principal disciple and devotee. And Kausalya, this is how she gives a purpose for Sri Rama of his further action. Kausalya, who is seen as the principal, the chief wife of King Dasharatha, to describe her, we can describe her as an epitome of beauty, purity, and innocence. The character Kausalya explains us, shows us how to love one and how to lead the life gracefully through her role and through her role play in the whole Ramayana epic. This Kausalya as a woman is seen of great character and finance. When Dasharatha married another wives, she did not develop a malice in her heart. That shows how large-hearted she was. That shows how mature she was, and the kind of loving self she was. She accepted these co-wives without any negative emotions of jealousy or with the pretense of acceptance. In fact, she assured them that they would be like her sisters. The three wives, as per the ancient scriptures, they shared an amicable relationship. Though here and there, because of circumstantial or contextual pressures, they might have expressed displeasure, but still on an over large, it can be understood that these wives definitely share an amicable relationship. Kausalya was mighty intelligent and a very intellectual woman. However, she was so overcome with her grief as her son announced her dethroning that she got mad at her husband Dasharatha. More than angry, she was actually disappointed. She was also painfully aware of her own place in the king's life and heart. When Rama tells her that he is going into exile, Kausalya is very devastated. She says, earlier too, I had neither the good fortune nor the happiness of being my husband's favorite. But I waited for that joy that would arise from the birth of a son. Though I am superior to all the other kings' wives, I have had to tolerate many remarks from them that has wounded me deeply. Whose sorrow can be greater than mine? I have been insulted while you are still here. Imagine what will happen when you are gone. These are the things that she expresses to her own son. Kausalya is a very compassionate lady. It so happens Goswami Tulsidas says, Tumak Chalat Ramachandra Bhagat Paijaniya. The statement says how one can visualize the happiness of Mother Kausalya as she watches her little son Sri Ram walking gracefully with his anklets, tinkling with a beautiful sound. Her heart fills with happiness as she watches this little Ramji playing and prancing around in the palace of Ayodhya. The same mother, when she enjoyed this kind of happiness looking at the boy moving around, playing around in the palaces, if she is given a situation where she has to walk the same son in a barefoot towards the forest, detaching himself with all the luxuries and comforts and all the kind of things that has to be part of his life, if he has to detach himself, separate himself and walk barefoot into the forest to lead a forest life as an exile, it is a very painful situation. And the mother had to watch this. She saw Rama walking barefoot to the forest to just keep up his father's word. That was the destiny that Queen Kausalya had, who had to see different facets of her life, but all these things she took in a stride for Dharma. She was a diligent, she was a compassionate person, and she gained respect for this nature of hers from all the people. She was a very loving human being. And this can be seen in several instances when a person reads Ramayana. Kausalya treated co-wives Sumitra and Kaikeyi as her own sisters. She loved them dearly. Kausalya, along with Sri Ram, she also equally loved without any bias, without any partiality. with no other second thought that he is a stepson. No, these were not her mind. She loved Bharata as equally she loved Sriram. She loved the other two, the child also equally as she loved Rama and Bharata. She treated all the children equally. It's not just about the children, she also welcomed her co-wives with equal respect. She loved the fact that her son Brahma used to pay his first respect to the stepmother Kaikeyi and then to her. She did not take it as an ego thing. She loved that quality of Rama. She also loved that quality of Kaikeyi for loving Rama more than Bharata. So in many ways, this mutual respect, this mutual love can be seen throughout the Ramayana. This also gives us an understanding, though her life had been put into kind of different challenges, though she was being portrayed as a submissive character, but when we look at her upbringing quality of Sri Rama, she has not allowed those things to influence her child. As a parenting thing, this definitely is very important, especially even in the current scenario. When we look at the parenting lessons from our epics, how much it is important. Life is not always a bed of roses, but still, how well the children are guarded with the leading life, learning and instilling their life with this moral and cultural and ethical values. And that can be seen with the relationship of Kausalya and Sri Rama. She instilled, she instilled great morals, great values in Sri Rama that he would respect all of them equally. The bond was so beautiful that when Sri Rama always was appreciated for his deeds in the name of being Kausalya's son, and Kausalya was always praised for being the Rama's mother. Now, if we look at this equation, the mother-in-law and the daughter-in-law equation, it is normally not considered as a very healthy relationship core in majority of the family systems. But when we look into the relationship of Kausalya and Sita, this was not the case. When Mata Sita got married to Sri Rama and she came to Ayodhya, she was received like a daughter. At no point Kausalya behaved like a mother-in-law. She gave the love of mother to Sita. She treated her as a daughter. She also suffered a deep anguish when she came to know that Sri Rama was leaving to the forest with Sita and Lakshmana. Although she had all the rights to fight for the injustice and question Kaikeyi for her deed, she does not blame Kaikeyi, but she believes it to be an act of karma and blesses Sri Rama to go ahead on the path of the duty. But this doesn't instantaneously happen. She does go through that grief-stricken process and phases where she is convinced by her own son to, and who reminded her of her duties. Though she curses immediately for Kaikeyi, eventually she gets evolved of it and she realizes her mistakes and she carries on. So in that sense, if you look at it, she actually doesn't hate Kaikeyi in spite of the disturbance that she caused in the family. Speaking back again about this equation of this mother-in-law and the daughter-in-law relationship, both Kausalya and Sita share a very amicable relationship. It is believed that both of them were very tight with each other and bore the strength of a woman of spirit. When she got to know that Sita is also leaving along with Rama to the forest, she was filled with joy because she was knowing that Sita is one of the best partner for her son. She inherently knew that Sita is a true companion, the better half for her son. So she advises Sita at no point, don't think that my son had to go to forest and don't treat him slightly because of this. She advises Sita, see, my son has enjoyed a high status in life so far. Now, because of faith, he is being forced to leave to the kingdom. So if you look at the capabilities of Rama, he is unquestionable. It is just that fate and destiny are playing a game in his mind. So don't demean him, kind of advices she gives him. So don't treat him slightly because of this. So Sita promises, assures Kausalya that she will always uphold the dharma ordained for her as Rama's wife in its entire spirit. So in this way, this also becomes one of the reason why Sita does not look Rama as a king. She looks more as his wife. She likes to be identified as the wife of Sri Rama, not as the queen of Ayodhya. When we talk about this Ayodhya Kanda, Dasharatha decides that Rama is going to be the crown bearer and the heir to the throne. And Kausalya, not just Kausalya, even the other four wives were expressed so much joy. They were immensely happy. They all felt, they shared the common feelings among them. There was immense joy, happiness in the whole palace. But this was disturbed by another woman character called Mantara, who manipulates the mind of Kaikeyi, and who, through this, she takes very drastic steps which disturbs the whole harmony of the family. Kausalya, speaking about the love towards Rama, in that sense, if you have to speak about Kausalya, it's obvious that she is mother, being a very mighty, intelligent, and a very intellectual woman. She had so much love for Sri Rama, with so much maturity, with so much sensibility in her, knowing that the son is not deviating from the path, has chosen of how an obedient son or the future king should behave, or how one should follow the king's order in every aspect. The son is in the right way, but she cannot take it. She loses her sense because she cannot overcome with that grief of being seeing herself separated from her son, and that too for 14 years. And her ambition to see her son as a king, that also is shattered. So she becomes a totally a grief-stricken lady. Because of that, she intensely gets mad on her husband for creating such a situation. More than angry, she was actually disappointed. She never ever thought that her husband will take such a kind of cruel decision towards his most beloved son. But however, she is pacified by the advice of Sri Rama. But because of this incident, they happen to have a strange kind of relationships between Dasharatha and Kausalya. Though Kaikeyi was the favorite queen for Dasharatha in terms of intellectual discussions, Dasharatha preferred interacting with Kausalya because he knew she is the most mature lady, she is the most wisest lady, she is the most intellectually stable lady. So, on this basis, they both had a very beautiful relationship, and she was considered as a true companion whenever King Dasharatha needed the intellectual sanity. They would have, the husband and wife would have exhaustive discussions about spirituality, the different philosophical aspects of life. But however, all these things changed the moment this kind of decision came from Dasharatha. Once the Rama's departure came, she started behaving rudely with Dasharatha. That's a very obvious nature of a mother. You steal the son, she will show the negative side of her. And this is what happened in the royal family. She started behaving very rudely to her own husband, Dasharatha. Dasharatha had realized his mistake. He did not do it intentionally. He was being forced, compelled by the situation for which he had to act upon like that. But even then, he merely kept begging her pardon, also trying to understand her pain of separation. But despite that, Kausalya was not able to get over her grief. These things will show us the kind of family structure we have. Despite the mother is given importance in the family life, yet if we look at the gender female, she is always seen, as earlier said in one of my sessions, she is always seen as a liability. where her life is to be, though she could be intellectually strong, though she could be emotionally stable, she could have the best of best qualities in her, but in this so-called male-dominant society, she has to lead her life based on this dependent sources. In different stages, different male community will be act as a support mechanism. So her life is dependent on others throughout. Kausalya here also expresses a similar kind of feeling, where she is unable to bear the separation from Rama. And she feels that a woman is dependent on her father, husband, and then the son at every stage of life. That means that gives an indication that she is thoroughly in her life has to be dependent on a male all through. And Kausalya for this holds Dasharatha responsible because she made the right time when she had to depend on her son. Her support mechanism was separated from her. Whom can she rely on? Who is there next for her? So in many ways she had that agony in her. So and she holds Dasharatha responsible for that and tells him the main support for a woman is her husband. The second is her son. And the third is her kindred. There's no fourth support at all, O king, she says. Kausalya, for all these situations, these are the immediate effects of that decision making. She curses Kaikeyi for all the misfortune that she has caused. She also reapproaches Dasharatha for having yielded for Kaikeyi's demand. She could not think of separation of 14 years and insist on accompanying Rama to the forest. It was Rama who reminds her. See, presence of mind is required for a person to be socially acceptable, and Rama had that quality. In the pain, we speak all sorts of things. We don't get to know what we are speaking, what we are doing, how our actions can implicate later on. So Rama reminds Kausalya of the way she is overreacting. He says, "This is not the time to follow me. It is the time to support your husband. In the life of a woman, her first preference should be given for the husband." He reminds his own mother of this. And specifies Kausalya that and specifies Kausalya to follow and do accordingly as needed. So that her husband should be the first person to be given preference. Kaikeyi does everything to cajole Dasharatha to crown Bharata as a king. The another feature, if you look at Kausalya is specified by Rama's word. She understands the way things are happening and she knows her next course of action. She is slowly pacified and she agrees to stay back in the kingdom. On the other side, if you look at, Kaikeyi is doing everything to see that Dasharatha makes Bharata the crown for the king. And this is because she has that intense love of Bharata. It's not just the intense love for Bharata, it is also that her insecurity which is making her behave in that manner. It is reported in the Ramayana that Kaikeyi's father gets a promise from King Dasharatha that only Kaikeyi's son should be given the privilege of ruling. The queens at that time had the boldness to question the decision of their husband and also reproach them when they were deviated from the path of the right action. When Rama was asked to leave for the forest, Kausalya, who was deeply grieved, tries to dissuade her son from going to the forest and pleads Dasharatha not to send Rama into exile. She also brings that assertiveness in her and says that the mother has the right and power over the son even than the father. And this is very clearly, explicitly expressed by Kausalya. Kausalya, when King Dasharatha had to send Rama to the forest in her anxiety for the son, she charges the king that he has lost his wits, which people used to praise for him. Even in the royal family, there seemed a possibility of rift among the co-wives. It's not just Rama going into the exile. It's not just Rama being dethroned of that kingdomship. Kausalya also has other fears. She fears to live under the control of her junior queen. She sometimes has her insecurity that she will be ill-treated by Kaikeyi, as she feels that Kaikeyi may take it out on her for the reason that she was treated junior before. Rama, though assures Kausalya, he is also at a certain point of time he is equally worried that his mother and Sumitra may not be treated well by Kaikeyi. Though when this thought process comes, he is assured that Bharata is there, he will not let it happen. But then again, another fear factor also comes to him. What if Bharata wants to appease his own mother and turns an indifferent attitude towards the other mother? So he is also a bit doubtful. And Kausalya, when she expresses her fear, she says, "Senior most though I am, I shall in my present plight hear many unpalatable words from my junior co-wives who will rend my heart." She goes to the extent of contemplating the death as she fears ill treatment based on her past experience, wherein she says she was snubbed by Dasharatha and even treated like a servant. She never regretted so much the loss of the kingdom as the loss of her husband or the exile of Rama. She feared most in her life is leading a submissive life. The life gets augmented when she says, "Forsaken by Rama, deprived of our husband, how shall we live in proximity to our co-wife, Kaikeyi, who is of wicked intention?" All these things is actually bringing chaos, restlessness, a kind of unpleasant situations in the state of mind of Kausalya. She is very deeply grief stricken and she is not getting to know her reactions impact, how is it influencing the health of King Dasharatha. King Dasharatha himself is in that guilt complex that he, being the king, his own son whom he loved so much, he became the decision maker of sending him to an exile. That guilt complex is not leaving him. So he was deeply grief stricken. And he was so much attached to Sri Rama that he could not think of a life without him. He could not, like Kausalya. Kausalya at least expressed. She cried, she grumbled, she went to her son. She spoke everything that could act as an outlet for her so that on later basis she could pacify herself. But what about King Dasharatha? We women sometimes find different ways of letting out our emotion, which gives us our survivability support system. Somehow we will allow the time to heal, somehow we will learn to adapt ourselves, somehow we will learn to manage things. But what about the men? They cannot give an outlet, and that was the condition of King Dasharatha. He could not express his disturbances, his pain, his grief, his sadness. He cannot express like a woman who could. How could he say that he cannot think of a life without Rama? So he becomes deeply grief stricken, which affects his health system. He cannot handle the separation of eldest son Rama. So slowly his health deteriorates. Because of this pain and suffering within him, he lost the interest of feeding himself. He stopped taking food and water. Suddenly, Kausalya started seeing the condition that King Dasharatha is going through. She realized what is happening. She empathized with King Dasharatha's condition and quickly came back to her senses. And like a true consort, like a true wife, a true partner, a companion, she started supporting her husband. At every stage, she became that hope for her husband. Best of her best abilities, she tried to support Dasharatha. She realized her mistake. So she started extending her empathetic understanding for Dasharatha's decision. She wanted to relieve Dasharatha from that guilt state of mind. And like a true couple, they started becoming each other's support system and they started together crying out their hearts. So in this way, Kausalya started becoming the support system for her husband. She realized what she had done and she started reworking on bringing back restoration into her family system. It so happened that Dasharatha could not revive himself out of that situation. He could not make himself better out of it. The health deterioration went so bad that he was almost on his deathbed. After his demise, Bharata was supposed to be thrown as the king. At that point, Kausalya is not a woman who repeats her mistakes. It happened instantaneously, which she could not control because she was so much attached and things were all of a sudden. But Bharata becoming king, it was a predicted one. She knew it. She was well prepared for it. This shows her mental stability for the upcoming challenges. And there again, she did not, she is a woman who did not have any pretense. What she was, she expressed outside. That is the beauty of her. So, this woman did not have a malice, she did not have any kind of negative emotions or any insecure feelings towards Bharata. She embraced Bharata's kingship. She motivated him, encouraged him to rule the Ayodhya and work in the welfare for the subjects of Ayodhya, and wherever necessary to take the guide of listen or get counseled by his elder brother Sri Ram. In such a way, she kept the family together. It's very important for a woman to keep the family together, and that is being beautifully portrayed by this character, Kausalya. She makes sure that as a true mother, as a true queen, and also seeing that she is taking care of the family in such a way, all the family members are kept in unity. She waits for her life, whole life in meeting Sri Rama. It's just more like she holds her life to just see Rama back. And once Lord Rama returns after 14 years of exile from the forest, she's so overjoyed, she's so overthrilled. Whatever that suppressed emotions that she had, that longingness to see her son, she lets it release off. And this is how she is finally liberated from this life in the hands of Sri Rama. So this is about the character of Kausalya, who is the epitome of beauty, purity, motherhood, selfless love, the person who keeps the interest of others in the forefront rather than bringing her interest in the front. She is the woman who keeps the family united together, and she is not the one who has this pretense attitude. She is a very transparent, clear, a very beautiful character of Ramayana. I thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity to speak about Kausalya, the mother of this hero, the epic Ramayana, Sri Rama. Thank you.